Welcome to Y News, I am Christopher. US chip companies in the Chinese market has a very deep layout, more than 30% of revenue almost all from China. Qualcomm in the Chinese market revenue accounted for more than 60%. If the loss of the Chinese market, US companies will suffer huge losses. In order to protect the Chinese market business order, the three major US core giants collectively announced that they want to persuade Biden to give up the restrictions, and some foreign media bluntly said US enterprises cannot leave the Chinese market. China is one of the world's largest consumer markets, with a huge demand for chip products. Many US chip companies see China as an important sales market for business growth and profitability. China is also the production base for many global chip companies, and many US chip companies have manufacturing plants in China to take advantage of China's manufacturing capabilities and labor costs. Therefore, the Chinese market is crucial for US chip companies. However, the US has unilaterally initiated a war on chips by enforcing stringent export control rules in the areas of science and technology, economy, etc., which have caused a certain degree of impact and uncertainty on the cooperation between US chip companies and the Chinese market. These restrictions may lead to the US chip companies' sales blocked, production restrictions, and even face a reduction in market share. The US still does not intend to stop. Not only with the Netherlands, Japan reached a restrictive agreement, but also attempted to export controls on high-end AI chips, as well as cloud computing services. The US repeated mistakes will only push US companies into the limelight. Finally, US companies can't sit still, and the CEOs of three major US chip giants, Intel, Qualcomm, and Nvidia, will persuade Biden to drop the chip restrictions. All three of these US companies have significant market share in China and basically dominate the market. Intel's CPUs, Qualcomm's mobile SoCs, and Nvidia's GPUs are favored by Chinese consumers, and I'm afraid that if it weren't for the US chip restrictions, these US companies would have been able to achieve much larger sales in the Chinese market. Now, not to mention the realization of performance growth can stabilize the current business is good. Once the next round of US chip restrictions after the implementation of the US companies in the Chinese market business efforts may be in vain. US companies to be forced to give up the order business and ultimately lose the competitive advantage of the industry. In the long run, US companies will also be abandoned by the capital market due to poor financial results, plunged into the operational quagmire, had to layoffs to save capital expenditures towards the end. Currently, most of the US companies have been in the layoff stage. If you cannot grasp the Chinese market, sales growth, waiting for the US companies will be the future of the decline. Therefore, some foreign media said US companies cannot be separated from the Chinese market. China has a huge demand for all kinds of electronic products and technology. Many US chip companies in the Chinese market has a huge customer base and sales channels. Looking around the world, US companies are afraid that they can no longer find a larger chip consumer market than China. The US should be clear, now do not ship chips, will lead to China to speed up the chip self-sufficiency. The future of the United States and then want to sell chips to China will not be so easy. Standing in the perspective of the Chinese market, rather than counting on the United States to turn back, it is better to do what they should do. Only their own mastery of the core technology of the chip, in order to fear the challenges brought by the rules. At that time, the US chip restrictions will not break, and even in order to fight for the Chinese market, will allow US companies to step up shipments in order to earn more revenue. So how can China's chips realize self-sufficiency? China needs to improve the chip industry chain, including chip design, manufacturing, packaging, and testing. by upgrading the technical level and production capacity of the relevant domestic industries, reduce the dependence on imported chips. It is also very important for enhancing independent R&D capabilities, cultivating and attracting more talents, strengthening cooperation between research institutions and enterprises, and promoting breakthroughs and innovation in core technologies. Or cooperate with international chip manufacturers, technology suppliers and R&D organizations to absorb advanced technology and experience, and accelerate the pace of technological progress and industrial upgrading. Besides, China can encourage innovation and entrepreneurship, cultivate a number of chip enterprises with core competitiveness and market influence, and promote the rapid development of the chip industry and independent innovation. Of course, this is not an easy thing. The Western countries spend decades to have such a dominant position. Want to solve the chip problem in one night is more difficult. But China is sitting on a huge chip consumer market, itself has a large industrial chain advantage, which will continue to attract foreign companies to invest in China, find ways to sell chip products to China. In the past is a seller's market, the chip can ship by the United States said, in the future is a buyer's market, do not want the US chip by China to decide. Nvidia, Intel, Qualcomm, three major US chip giants realize that the Chinese market is inseparable, so persuade Biden to give up the chip restrictions. As for Biden can turn back, after China's chip self-sufficiency, it is not so important.